Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq, with daily insight on the Nasdaq-100 index, or the NDX, which is made up of 100 of the largest domestic and international non-financial innovative companies listed on the Nasdaq stock market. The NDX has been the barometer for U.S. large cap growth and also one of the best performing indexes over the last decade and a half, not to mention one of the most liquid index ecosystems in the world. Joining me this Thursday afternoon, we have Joyce, Managing Director with Nasdaq's Market Intelligence Desk, for an update on technical levels to watch in the Nasdaq-100. And Brian, it's been another good week for the Nasdaq-100.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a good week. It's been a good month. The Nasdaq is outperforming all its other U.S. benchmarks for the month of April, up 7% month to date. The next closest index is the S&P 500, which is up about 5%, largely driven by its three largest sectors: technology, communications, and consumer discretionary, which all three combined make about 90% of the index, and all those three sectors are the top performers as well in the month of April.
All right, so let's take a look at your charts here and for some fresh technical levels to watch.
Okay, so yeah, Jill, absolutely. The NDX right here, as you can see, this week it's making new all-time highs, getting back over those prior highs made in early February. And as we noted, technology right here, S&P 500 technology index this week is also making new highs. Consumer discretionary just yesterday made a new high. And then finally, the communication sector is also consolidating right here along all-time highs. That's 90% of the index. So we're seeing some good participation by the main participants in the index. And if we look at the NDX, this is the daily period chart, but if we look at the weekly period chart, to me it looks more interesting from a little bit of a longer term perspective. As you can see, this new high is made back in February, a nice cup-like pattern right here. And now we're beginning to break out above it. So to me, that looks very constructive. What I'm also very interested in right now is the relationship between growth and value. We know a lot of the tech names are in the growth space, which comprise up the NDX, the index. And we can see here, this is about a 10-year chart of value over growth. So value here is underperforming. It bottomed back in March. Well, the index bottomed back in November, but in March of 2020 was when momentum made its low. And this is the lowest this weekly RSI got in this ratio all time. So these indices go back to the late 1970s, and the weekly RSI bottomed at 12 in March of last year. This is a longer term weekly time frame. If we look back just over the last 12 months, we can see in November it broke out of this sideways range right around here, and since March it's been pulling back. So when it's pulling back, that tells you value is underperforming and growth is outperforming. So this right here is a technical level we're now approaching. It had been in place from June of last year up until November. So it's a pretty significant level from a relative standpoint. And so if we expect that this will hold from a technical perspective, but if it breaks down below, then that would tell me that this was, you could say, a false breakout, and maybe growth is going to continue its outperformance that we've been seeing in the last month or so. So definitely something to keep an eye on. If this continues to break down further, I think the NDX will continue its outperformance amongst the peers.
All right, Brian, appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq.